Hello and welcome back once again to movie reviews. So just got out of seeing the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You may be asking, where have you been the last couple weeks? I thought you were going to do Lucy, thought you were going to do Guardians of the Galaxy. A couple things. My theater here didn't get either of those. The theater up the street did, but they charge like 3 times as much for tickets up there as what this place does. There is another branch of this theater down the street, about 7 miles, that I could have went to see those because they are playing over there, but had some issues with my car and haven't really been able to go any place until just recently, basically just yesterday. So I will get around to seeing those later on in the week or early next week, because I'm not sure what all is opening next week that I might want to see here. So those will be coming up, just not in the order of release. So today we saw Ninja Turtles, and I took notes. I went and bought a little notebook so I could take notes during the movie so I could remember the things I want to talk about, rather than just like telling you the whole movie, trying to change it up a little bit. I'm not going to tell you what I thought of it just yet. I'm going to kind of do a what I liked and what I didn't like type of thing. So the movie kind of opened with this nice little animated montage, and at first it looked kind of cool because it looked like they were doing kind of a Sin City live action thing where it was painted like a comic but live action, so I kind of like that. And then like midway through it just switched over to like purely animation, which it wasn't bad animation, but it kind of threw you back out of it, because at first I was thinking, if the whole like first portion of the movie is just like the Sin City looking thing, it could be kind of cool, even though it's not going to stay that way based on the preview. But no, that was just the opening animation. Then you hear Splinter's voice. First thing I didn't like is Splinter's voice, but it's explained why his voice is wrong later on in the movie. Basically, anyone who's watched any variation of the movies or comics or animated series, whatever, knows that Splinter has an Asian accent, and in this he sounds like a straight up white person. That is explained later on in the movie. I won't get too much into it until later on. Then you see the Foot Clan show up. These guys are supposed to be this army of ninjas. They look nothing like ninjas. They look like they're wearing like SWAT gear. They got machine guns. They're wearing like not really kabuki masks, but like masks that look like just like, if you ever seen actually kind of like the mask from the first The Purge, the one that the guy was wearing. It was like a weird face mask. So yeah, they didn't really care much for the Foot Clan, and they were, even though it's a Ninja Turtles movie, the Foot Clan has always sort of been able to hold its own for a little bit against the Turtles, and these guys just, if they weren't shooting their guns, they were getting their asses whipped. So yeah. So then we get introduced to April, played by Megan Fox. Yeah, whatever, she's Megan Fox. So the first minute that you see her, she's wearing a yellow jacket, which is a nice little nod back to the 80s cartoon, and even some of the later animations where she was wearing like the Bruce Lee outfit. So yeah, there were a lot of actual nods towards some of the older movies and animated series that I'll get into more. We get to meet Vern, who's the male lead in this, other than the Turtles. No Casey Jones, surprisingly. Sorry, spoiler. So yeah, Vern's kind of the main male love interest, I guess. So maybe they'll introduce Casey in the sequel, because I think this is done good enough that it can get a sequel. So Vern's the cameraman. So April does work for Channel 6 News. She is a reporter. She starts trying to tell everyone about the Ninja Turtles and ends up getting fired for being a crackpot. Yeah. So then she actually tracks down the Turtles, and I understand they're trying to do a lot of more modern references, but it just seems like they were plugging anything in that they could. Like, at one point, the Ninja Turtles make a Wu-Tang Clan reference, which Yeah, Wu-Tang was a martial arts style of and like movie series and everything, which is where the Wu-Tang Clan got their name, but they were referencing the rap group, not any of the old Shaolin monk style movies. There were a lot of adult jokes in this, considering it's a Nickelodeon's kids movie. At one point, like, again, when the turtles first see April, Mikey makes a joke about his shell tightening. Yeah. And then, April actually asks them, "What are you?" And they basically kind of spell out the name of the movie. They say, "We're turtles. We're ninjas. We're mutants. Oh, and we're teenagers." So she's like, "So you're turtle, ninja, mutant teenagers?" And they're like, "Well, it sounds dumb when you say it like that." So kind of a little play off the name. Another thing I didn't like is, why does Donatello wear glasses? It's like, yeah, he's the tech guy. It doesn't mean he's a freaking nerd. You don't need to turn him into a dork. If he had just worn the goggles the whole time, he did wear those for a while in the animated series, and in one variation of the comics he had them on a lot. Just have him have the goggles. He doesn't have to have freaking Poindexter glasses with tape in the center to show how much of a dork he is. He likes computers. That doesn't mean he has to wear glasses and be a nerd. One point later in the movie, he's laughing about something. He snorts, like an Urkel-style snort. There was a fart joke. Gotta love that. So then you go into the story. There was also a reference to the Turtles making a rap album, which is a reference to their musical stint that they did in the mid to late 90s. So we start going into the story of April knowing the Turtles. She's actually the kid who raised them. Her dad worked in the lab and all this stuff, and he's the one that injected them with the mutagen. She named all of them. The whole thing about the alien thing, apparently the mutagen is a substance that came from space that they found and they were experimenting with. So then Vern makes the reference later when April's retelling the story, like, "Oh, so they're aliens?" And she's like, "No, that's just stupid." Which is a nod to Michael Bay admitting that he was kind of dumb for wanting to change them into aliens in the first place. So, the mutagen coming from space, okay, I can kind of understand that. So April, as a little kid, is the one who fed them pizza for the first time. That's why they like pizza. And unlike in the animated series and the comics and stuff, where Splinter's more traditional and doesn't really know much about modern customs like pizza, in this he knows all about pizza and all this stuff, and yeah. Another variant from the original story is Splinter says that he doesn't remember anything prior to the lab when he first started getting injected with mutagen. So yeah, that's a little different. Another variation from the original origin is where Splinter had learned martial arts from his master, and then had named the Turtles after a Renaissance book that he found in the sewer. They kind of switched that around. The Turtles were named because they were part of a project called Renaissance, so they were all given names of Renaissance artists, and the book that Splinter ended up finding in the sewer in this one was a ninjutsu book, and he taught himself and then taught the Turtles. So you get to see a little bit of young Turtles, which is kind of funny. There were a lot of Karate Kid references in this. I don't know if that was intentional or if Michael Bay just didn't realize they were two separate movies. He's just like, what was that karate movie from the 80s? It's like, there was a reference to Okinawa, Japan, which is where the second Karate Kid took place, where Mr. Miyagi was from. At one point, Raphael carves a statue of a kid of a turtle in a crane stance, and it's just a lot of it throughout it. What else? When they first encounter the Shredder, first of all, Shredder's armor is ridiculous. It's like overly robotic. it looks like a freaking walking transformer, honestly. It looks like the turtles are almost fighting a transformer. That's how mechanized it is. He's just like got all these giant like robotic pieces on the backs of his arms that his knives come out of, and yeah. Shredder throws out the classic line, "Tonight I dine on turtle soup." So that was a nice little reference back to the original. Vern actually says something about heroes on a half shell at one point too, so another nod there. What else? At one point they mentioned that they were originally going to use rabbits instead of turtles, so that might be a reference to, God, what was his name? Yasaki Ojimbo, I think was his name, if I remember that right. The rabbit samurai from the original series. Shredder's daughter Karai is in this. You might know her from the later Ninja Turtle series. They only call her by name once, and it was like midway through the movie, but that's who I figured it was the whole time. Shredder doesn't really reference her as his daughter, but he kind of hints that she's had more training than the rest of the Foot Clan. They try to throw out another line where I think it was in the original movie. Shredder told the turtles that the rat had taught them well when they almost defeated him. In this, he's basically kicking the crap out of them, and he throws out the rat did not teach you well, so a little variation on that. There's a lot of adult language in this, surprisingly, again, being for a Nickelodeon kids movie. At one point, Raphael calls Michelangelo numbnuts, and then says that they're getting their asses kicked. So, I mean, yeah, it's mild, but still, you're going to have kids running around calling each other numbnuts and getting in trouble at school, probably. So, yeah. One little flaw in the movie was they said that Shredder was in a helicopter and he was 19 minutes flight time away from New York. And then later on they comment that he's currently 20 flight minutes away from New York. So it like goes up by a minute when they're halfway back to where they were trying to catch him. There's a lot of the turtles hanging off the sides of buildings in this. Yeah, not sure what that was about, but like almost every fight scene they end up hanging off the side of a building somewhere. Again, kind of back to the music album. At one point they're like riding up the elevator waiting to get to the top floor, and they start, like Mikey starts beatboxing, and then slowly the rest of them start joining in. And, you know, I know they're doing it for comedy, but it just takes you out of the movie. You could have just had them stand there awkwardly in silence, and it would have been a little bit funnier. So yeah. So then they have the big battle, and of course they win. Spoiler. Shredder falls off a building, surprise. Of course he's still alive, because you see his hand move at the end. Again, spoiler. Then April and Vern are sitting there talking, and the turtles roll up in the new turtle van. And the horn on the turtle van has the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song. And then another reference that Michael Bay decided to throw in, or somebody decided to throw in, was Mikey starts singing, what the hell's the name of the song? Remember Me and You, You and Me, blah, blah, blah. Which is a song by a group called The Turtles. Haha, nice joke. That's old. So yeah, that's all my notes. Now, as far as did I like the movie or not? Yeah, yes and no. I like the majority of it. Like I said, there were a lot of nice references. Like at one point, they're cutting up a pizza, and a slice of pizza falls on Splinter's head. Again, reference to the original movie back in the 90s. So they had a lot of nice little nods for Turtle fans. Changing of the origin. It didn't need to be done, but, you know, they kind of did a decent new spin on it, I guess. Yeah, all the falling off the buildings stuff was a little overkill. Could have been paced a lot better. I think if they had a more competent director. I mean, normally Michael Bay does great action films, but this one is just kind of... Lately, he's just been, like, all over the place. Like, let's just throw as much action at the screen as we can so you don't know what the hell is going on, you know? honestly, if it was in the hands of a more competent director, I think it would have been a bit better. So yeah, overall I liked it though. Again, parts of it I didn't like I said. So as far as a star rating goes, hopefully I didn't, hopefully you guys like this variation of this style over me just telling you step by step what happened throughout the movie. So yeah, overall as far as a star rating, I'd probably give it like a three and a half. Let's go 3.5. I mean, obviously it has flaws, so it's not going to be a 4, definitely not a 5, because it's Michael Bay and he ruins everything he touches. But overall it's a solid movie. There was this group of little kids that sat down in front of me, like a school group or something, and I was like, oh great, they're going to talk through the whole movie. Surprisingly, they sat there quietly, but it was nice to like see them get the enjoyment I used to get when I was out of these movies. Especially like during the credits when the last song was playing, they were all dancing in their seats and stuff. And yeah, so yeah, I'll do a 3.5 on it. It's worth a watch if you're a Ninja Turtles fan. I'll give it that much. There was one guy sitting behind me. I thought these kids were going to be the loud ones, and turns out this guy sitting behind me, I don't know what the hell's wrong. He laughed at like everything. And it's like one of the previews was for this new Star Wars Rebels animated series they're going to be doing. And like at one point, one of the characters says, "Oh, blow it out your exhaust port." And he's like, "Ha ha ha, exhaust port, ha ha, blow it out your exhaust port. That's hilarious." It's like he did that through the whole movie. Anytime something was even supposed to be funny, not really funny, but like it was meant as a joke, he would do that. He'd repeat the line out loud, laughing at it, and say how hilarious it was. So he ended up being more annoying than the 30 kids that sat down in front of me. But yeah, overall, like I said, it was kind of nice to see the little kids get the enjoyment that I used to get when I was a kid. So yeah, if you're a fan of Ninja Turtles, check it out. I liked it. Obviously, there's stuff I didn't like about it, but it was glaring enough that, or not overly glaring to the point where it annoyed me. It just, minor things would take you out of the movie for a second, but then you could easily get back into it. So yeah, I'd say like a 3.5, maybe low end 3.5, closer to a 3, but not quite bad enough to get a 3. So that's my review of Ninja Turtles. Like I said, I'm going to try and get around to seeing Lucy and Guardians of the Galaxy at some point this week, but I got to work early the next couple days. So it might be next week before I get over to see them. But anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Movie Reviews.